it seems that the attitudes have changed a lot from generation to generation. Something I'd be curious to know is, when you were running around with Raymond and Tuki, was there a kind of certain degree of kind of principles that you guys wanted to project with the Crips? I know the kind of Italian American gangs and organizations, they always had these codes of honor and these organizational structures. A lot of the Chicago gangs, like the Black Disciples, were very structured in the 60s and 70s. How much did the Crips, as you guys founded them, have much of an organizational structure, discipline, culture, or at the start was it a little bit more loosely organized?
We were all for one, it was the structure. No matter how you call it, we had rules. Don't forget, we only 14 to 20, but really 14 up under. Those are the ones. You got gang members and you got gang bangers. Gang member is somebody that can say, I'm a Crip. But I don't do what Crips do. But I'm a Crip. I understand it. I'm a sympathizer is what you call it. Then you got the candlestick murkers, the killers, the gang bangers. But you have to remember, it wasn't where Tookie, I never seen Tookie with a gun. I never seen Raymond Washington with a gun. They were fighters. They were, you could see fights all day also. You could see fights, so we were organized. We were all for one, one for all. And we didn't have, we had the structure, we just didn't have the mindset to where we should have been doing something positive as opposed to doing something negative. All the things, and quite a few of us are, I say 8 out of 9, 9 out of 10. Most of them were athletes. Most of us were athletes. Baseball, basketball, football, and smart. And smart. But we didn't have nobody to tell us this was wrong. We're going in and out of revolving door. Our parents don't know what we doing. They don't know what to do. And then by the time they caught on, it was too late. We didn't let our parents know what we did. And we did a lot of robbing. I did. Ice cream trucks to armored trucks. I've never been arrested for a black on black crime. Violent, attempted murders, none of that. I've been arrested about 50 times for robbery. That's what I do all my life until I just started working because my mother said, before I die, I want to be able to tell somebody my son went to work. So I've been out 9 years behind that.
Wow. So obviously in 1979, Raymond Washington loses his life. I've heard you say in other interviews that you were actually with him, just
right before that.
Yeah. So could you tell me a bit about how, not necessarily just about how he came to pass away, but kind of maybe what were some of the things that were going on in the Crips in the years kind of leading up to that? Was it
when he got out, you have to remember, Raymond didn't get the breaks in the juvenile system that Tookie did. Tookie, Warlock, Melvin Hardy, let me name them also. Melvin Hardy, Warlock, Tookie, James Miller, Dennis Johnson, Babyface, Perry Manuel, Rodney Buckner. These are all guys, Hawk, all of these guys are founders of the sets. And Raymond didn't get, like a lot of people didn't know, after Tookie got out in '72, Tookie was working for Juvenile Hall. And he had 3 halfway houses in Compton in '72. So Tookie was working with the youths and ran 3 boys home, whereas when Raymond got in trouble, Raymond got sent to prison at 18 for robberies and stuff, and Raymond ended up leaving in about '72, '73 during the pivotal year. So Raymond wasn't there and didn't get out till 1970, about 76, 77, so the game don't change. Now, when Raymond get out, he's introduced to all the sets and other people through a boy named One Eye Clint. One Eye Clint, Bulldog, Sugar Bear, all us, Tookie, but Tookie's in Compton now. We're still on the west side, and we right on the borderline. So now Raymond hanging with me and us, and we robbing and doing this, where at the same time Tookie's staying in Compton. So that's why the west side broke up. Tookie moved in '72, like I say. '72 was the end of the year for the west side. '71, '72, a brief period. Then the gangster Crip, rolling 60s, Avalon, east side, west side, and so forth, east coast, and what you see now, that's when that started. So also during that era, Tookie got shot in Compton by the Pyrus in about 74, 75. But either way it go, when he got shot, he called me and Rusty. And this was after he had the Continental. So this about 74, 75. And we had to do something to rectify that situation to make sure it didn't happen again. So we get the call on that. So Raymond was different. Tookie, at the beginning, he was in the weightlifting, didn't smoke, didn't do none of that stuff. Bodybuilder, cool, was going to school. They used to go to school every day, all the time. Him and his right-hand man, Buddha, and his other partner named Erskine Jones. So Tookie's downfall was later on in life. He started messing with drugs, and that took him down, because Tookie never went back to jail after 1972 until he got arrested in 1979 around February or March. And then Raymond get killed August, and they also had another murder of a guy that they don't talk about named Bloodstone, Melvin Calloway. He was killed, and that was a crucial year in the changing of the guards. Remember the 10-year watermark, 71, now it's close to 79, 80 later on, and that's when Tookie get arrested, then Raymond get killed, and also we're getting at the age to where we're starting to get sent to prison for longer stretches. So a lot of these guys early in life that had a murder, they end up thinking they could do the same thing at 18, and end up, a lot of them are just now starting to get out from 40, 50, 45, 35 years ago. And I had robbed 3 jewelry stores during that time period. And right before Raymond got killed, I had went by there to see him, put some money in his pocket then. In fact, the FBI busted us, I think, the day before he got killed, or maybe later on, but right then, the same day he got killed, which was about August the 9th or the 8th, the FBI busted me right after that also.
So what's interesting about Tookie is, I understand there was an informant that I believe you warned him about. Is that correct? And he'd kind of gotten more into the drug game. That was, I believe, at the end of the 70s. Moving into the 80s, then you start to see the rise of crack cocaine. So at what point did kind of drugs become a bigger part of the kind of, you know, the business on the streets, so to speak?
Well, you got to remember, in the early part, cocaine was a status drug. People look at it as a criminalized and that, but before blacks started getting money, you had Disco 2000, you had the Bee Gees, Love to Love You Baby, when it was fashionable to smoke, snort cocaine, had your chain, your smooth spoon and everything. But I had a friend that married a girl, met her at 17. His name was Michael Jordan. He was a Van Ness boy, which would be a blood nowadays, a Van Ness boy. And he met a girl named Rhonda Reese. We in high school, 17 years old. Rhonda Reese was the daughter of a kingpin on the level of Nicky Barnes, Haitian Jack, Freeway Rick, or anybody. He bigger than them.
Yeah.
This was her daddy. This was her daddy, Tootie Reese. Her name was Rhonda. And one day he went from khakis to slacks and driving a brand new Cadillac, Mercedes-Benz. And back then the keys were $55,000 a key, wow. $78,000 for a hair run. We only 17. This my boy. I went to junior high with him, so we cool. He was in the game before any drug dealer you can name that's glorified, from the Big Meech, Freeway Rick Harriet, Pats, any of them, the ones off the east of Raymond. He was around the biggest of the big. Then you had the Love You era, 74, the disco era. Then 77, they started ether basing, the purest way. But it still was a status drug, dollar for dollar. Then come the start of the early 80s. Now they blowing the dope up. The blacks are starting to be able to get money in the inner cities. They're starting to let them sell the dope. You're getting it from the cartels. You're getting it from other things. And then the weapons started changing. Now you got drug dealers claiming gangs. But you also got the California hookup where they're starting to branch to other states. And it really wasn't the gang banging that started moving where they, oh, I'm a gang banger, I'm gonna be that. Really, that came along with having a plug to get the drugs. That came along with it, because usually it was somebody's street and you affiliated. And then they started opening up shop, because you buying a key of dope here in 77, it depends, 20,000. Out there you're getting 48, 50,000. Started in Colorado. That's where the first place they started migrating, and then they started going to all the other countries. So that's how the cocaine, and now you're starting to get the gang benders where they're starting to come in for things other than gang banging, rapping. Now we all in the same gang where they're using the Crips and the Bloods images to portray a image and depiction. This is now we starting where I'm getting into the hip hop game with Michael Conception, the last man standing, and the biggest one in hip hop. Nobody's bigger than Michael Conception in this game on the West Coast. He the last one standing, particularly since Diddy done went down. We've been in the game since, we talking Charlie Wilson in the 70s when they were doing what they was doing, New Edition, Bobby Brown, Whitney Houston, Ice-T, MC Hammer. That's another area. But I didn't like the sexual natures of what I was seeing occur. That's why I fell out of it. And my man, big in the game. So all these things was going on right then, man.